What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 different moves that wide receivers can use at the top of the route in order to get separation. So we're going to be talking about 3 different things. We're going to show some positive examples and some negative examples of what you guys want to avoid with these 3 types of moves. So I hope this video helps you guys out, but also, fellas, if you guys want to learn 20 different press releases that you can use off the line, when to use each one, and then drills to work on each one, check out that very first link in the description below where you could get access to a 50-minute long video where we break down 20 press releases, when to use each one, and then drills for each one. So again, very first link below, fellas, if you guys want to improve your skills against press, let's get started with this video. So this first clip right here, this is going to be a bad example of this move. This is something that you want to try to avoid, and then we're going to show a positive example of a wide receiver working this as well. So this is going to be a peek back move at the top of the route. So I like a peek back whenever you take maybe you took an inside release and you have an outside breaking route, you took an outside release and you have an outside breaking route. It's only for outside breaking routes. Now, obviously, this ball was knocked out. This DB locked this route up pretty good. But what a peek back move is where you're in the stem of the route. You do it before the break point, but you peek back to the QB to try to sell fade. Try to get this DB a little bit undisciplined. He's looking at your eyes, and we try to get him to overcommit to the fade so I could break it right off. Now, the thing about this peek back movement is that a disciplined DB is not supposed to be looking at your eyes, right? Because the eyes will lie. He's supposed to be watching your hips. He's supposed to be trying to read your body language. So what a lot of wide receivers will do is when they do this peek back, they come off the line, they have such good speed, they're pushing vertical, but when they start to throw this peek back move, they'll look and they raise their chest up. They pop their body language up. They start to slow themselves down because essentially they start to almost lean back. When you guys do this peek back, fellas, it's almost like a glance over the shoulder. You don't need to stand up. You don't need to slow down because that is what will get the DB to think fade. When you're looking back for a fade ball, you don't slow down. You're probably keeping that same speed. You're trying to go catch up to a deep ball. So that's how you have to think on this thing. When you use this peek back move, you have to make sure that I peek back and I am treating it like I am chasing a deep throw. I keep driving my arms. I stay in a good body language. I keep the same stride. All of those things will get that DB to overcommit, but when he feels me raise up, he feels me start to slow down, that's what's going to make him slow down, and he'll be able to make a play on this move. Easy money for him. So, fellas, with this peek back move, make sure that we are just glancing over that shoulder to sell vertical and keep the same speed. Let's play this thing again full speed, and then we will show a positive example of this peek back and how you guys can really get a DB to bite. So next clip here we have outside shade press coverage, right? So this is a great time to use this peek back move when you maybe have some kind of an outside breaking route. So let's say you're running like a 10-yard out. Maybe you're running a corner. Maybe you're running a comeback, right? Maybe you took an inside release on a comeback. But when you guys do this, when you have outside shade press, what are we supposed to do release-wise? To set up the peek back, you got to take what the DB gives you. So he's outside shade for a reason. He's trying to protect the outside. Does not want you to go there. He wants to force you to the inside. We're trying to sell like I'm running a seam, running a deep post, whatever it might be. So I have to take what he gives me. Like we got to take the inside release, but we have to make sure that we threaten this DB outside to move him off his platform. So that's exactly what this wide receiver does. He threatens him to the outside, takes the inside release, throws a peek back, and then he's breaking this thing right off. Now, when he does this peek back move, I know it cuts off a bit, but he's peeking back to the ball right here before he makes this cut. So when he's here, see how he's got a great pad level. There's no change in pad level. He's not raising up. He's not popping his chest up. He comes off the ball and he's explosive. All the way up into the break, he is explosive. And he throws that head fake, that eye fake at the top without raising up. I wanted to show this example solely for that, fellas. So when you over-exaggerate that peek back, you raise up, you slow down, we are not going to get any separation. So let's play this thing again, full speed one more time, and then we will get to another move that you guys can use to create space at the top of this break. So now, this route right here is from Zachariah Branch. He's a USC commit, plays receiver, very, very explosive kid. Now, he's going to be doing something called a rocker step. So a rocker step is a great move to use when you have to run any kind of route that you could single cut off of, right? So a rocker step is essentially like, let's say you're running a post. A rocker step is where if you're on the left side, you would obviously normally break off of a post with your left foot. So this would be a right-left. You would do a double cut at the top of the route. Now, when he does this, I want to talk about the mechanics of the movement and how you guys can do this a little bit better. So let's play this thing full speed. So Branch does a good job taking the inside release right here. Release maybe it took in a little bit too long, but that's a great example of this rocker step at the top of the break. So when we go up into this move, obviously, what do we want to make this route look like? We want to make it look like a corner, the route that we just went over with that peek back move. So we want to make this DB think that you are running a corner, you're running a out, and that is what we have to sell. So in the very first example, we talked about where's the DB's eyes. Where should they be at least? They shouldn't be at your head. They shouldn't be looking at your eyes. They shouldn't be looking at your feet. It should be trying to read your body language. So when you guys decide to do a move like this, we have to make sure that we sell the movement with my upper body. So when he goes to throw this cut, that's the first step of the rocker. It's got to be a hard cut, has to be a sudden cut. It cannot be this really over-exaggerated stride where you're reaching outside of your frame. It's got to be quick and it's got to be sudden, because that cut has to push you into the next one. And you see how much Zachariah turns his hips and turns his shoulders when he is stepping to that second portion of the cut. That's what it takes. So if you guys are trying to work that rocker step at the break, so many wide receivers will run up to this thing and they'll be very stiff. They'll be going into the break and they'll be very stiff with their upper half. And they take these two quick choppy steps and they try to sell the outside fake, then it won't get a good DB to bite. I'm not trying to prepare you for a crappy DB. As a crappy DB, you could probably just run around at a certain point. But against a talented DB who's watching your hips, reading your body language, you have to be relaxed with that upper half in order to sell the route. So when he decides to make this 1-2, that first step is sudden. He's pushing off of that step, pushing off of the first to throw into the second, hips and shoulders commit. That's what gets the DB to bite, and then we can get some acceleration. Fellas, we have to make sure we are not reaching outside of my frame on the rocker step, because then I won't have any push to sell the outside move, and that upper body needs to stay relaxed and loose to sell the outside fake. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Then we are going to be talking about a great move that you guys can use on a route, like a comeback, like a curl that builds off of a fade. So the next move that you guys can use is going to be a vertical set. So what is a vertical set? A vertical set is something you'd use against off coverage. And it builds off of a fade. So as a wide receiver, there are so many ways to be creative with your routes. You know, you could have different releases to use. You could have different moves like a rocker step, like a peek back. But then there's something where you make your routes look similar. You know, you pair routes together. I'm trying to make this route look like this route. And a comeback and a fade, especially against off coverage, are two great ways to do that. So think about it like this. A vertical set is when you run up to a DB, you give a hard fake to the inside, trying to get him to sit on like a post, and then you slip back to the outside. Heavily used when you have to run a fade against this specific leverage. Because think about it, this DB's inside shade and you got to go run a vertical. He's 8 yards off. So obviously if we just try to take off and run to the outside, he's inside shade for a reason. He's going to get hands on you right into your hips, squeeze you to the sideline, and we're not going to have any space for the QB. We have to give my QB space to the sideline and throw me open. So a vertical set, what you would do if you had to run a fade, you would use something like that. You'd step on the toes of the DB, you'd attack his leverage, and you give him a hard fake inside. So now this is a great thing to use on a route like a comeback, an out route, because it looks the exact same, and maybe this DB's seen it before. So let's play this full speed. So he comes off, good release, gives that move to the inside, and then snaps this off to win on that comeback route. So let's break it down. Comes off here, attacks the distance, gives the vertical set to the inside. We have to make sure that we sell it. We have to make sure that it looks like a post to make the entire route look like what you would do on a fade. So after he does that move, we get the DB to hesitate inside a bit. This is where it comes down to selling fade. You get him to sit inside, let's make it look like we're just trying to run around it. So after that cut, I got to make sure I pump my arms. I got to make sure I'm running full stride, running with good pad level, and I'm violent with that hip drop to be able to create space. But fellas, to be creative, to win on routes, you have to pair routes together. Let's make my fade against off coverage look like my comeback against off coverage and vice versa. Use that vertical set, push vertical, and let's always have that mindset of threatening that DB deep. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. This is a great example of how you guys can use a vertical set move to get that DB to sit and then be able to break this thing off and make him think fade. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like access to a 50-minute long video on 20 press releases, when to use each one, and then drills to work on each one, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that, fellas. I'll see you next time.